Well, this is one of those days when I really wish there was people here. Quite specifically, I wish there was a regular Sunday morning of people here, because I need to talk about something from the Bible, and the Bible is old. Wait, I'm not suggesting that the room full of people would be old necessarily, although some of them would be. And that would be really helpful to me because I need to talk about something. Every now and then there's a story we tell where Jesus says something, or somebody says something. It's Jesus this morning, but somebody says something where we kind of go, what are they talking about? What is that? Or we think we know what it is, and that isn't necessarily what they mean. And this morning, we got a story from Jesus where he talks about one of those things. And this is where it would really be helpful to have some really, really, really old people in the room, or people who've traveled. Don't necessarily have to be old. It's just that this is a thing that you might not have seen here for a long time. In fact, you would probably have had to have been like a kid years and years ago to have seen one of these, or traveled somewhere where they still do this. I'm talking about a yoke, and that's not a Swedish joke, nor is it the thing that's at the middle of an egg. I know it's delicious, but that's not what Jesus is talking about. I'm talking about a yoke. Graham, can I see a yoke for a second? Right. So these handsome devils are joined together. It's not the oxen. It's the thing that joins them together around their necks. It looks pretty uncomfortable and heavy. It's a yoke. And yes, it looks uncomfortable and heavy. And yes, when we say yoke now, we sometimes mean something that's heavy and uncomfortable. We sometimes mean something that ties us in a way that is not good for us or is uncomfortable, almost like we're handcuffed to something or we're tied to something and we can't get away. That's what we think of when we say yoke. And so when Jesus says, "You should come and share my yoke," that doesn't sound necessarily like it might be a good thing. In fact, if you're one of the guys in the picture we just showed you, it doesn't really look like it is a good thing. But here's the thing about that. The point of a yoke isn't just to harness an animal or tie it together with another one, because sometimes, honestly, there's single yokes, but I'm talking about the double ones, right? The point of it is that it allows that animal to pull something heavy and difficult to pull, a heavy weight, without it hurting itself, and using the maximum amount of strength that it has available. And when you put it together, like two of them together, they're sharing the load too. And I think when Jesus talks about yokes that way, that's what he means. He means don't hang on a second, don't think about how it ties you to something in an uncomfortable way and means you can't get away. Think about it as a way that it helps, first of all, it helps maximize the strength that is in you, but also allows you to share in the burden that you are carrying. Or even better, to share a burden someone else is carrying so that you can help them. I think that's what Jesus means. I think it's Jesus saying, listen, tie yourself to me and we can share the burden, and plus the Spirit will give you strength to do that. That's a good thing, isn't it? Particularly when we're struggling, and like we're kind of feeling like, wow, this is a heavy load, too heavy for me to carry. But if I had help, and when we're Jesusing, it also means we can share someone else's load. When someone else is struggling, somebody we know, whether it's someone we know and love or somebody we don't know, we can still help them. We can share their load. That's a good thing. We have somehow come to understand that word, yoke, as meaning something that binds us and ties us and is really tight around our neck, much like the yoke that I am currently wearing. Right? It's a sign, it's a symbol, but it is nonetheless a symbol of a very particular thing. But I can either be tied to it and see it as a burden, or I can see it as being able to share that burden. I can see it as being tied in spirit to Jesus, who gives me strength and allows me to share my strength with others. That's a good yoke. That's a good yoke.